Hi everyone, it's Leanne. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today's video is a card I created for Valentine's Day. And so I did this on my iPad with ProCreate. So I'm just going to go through the steps that I took to get there. And so my original thought was to do a llama based card. I love llamas, they're just so cute. And so I wanted to do a Valentine's theme card with a llama. So I did some research online. It always helps first to look at some pictures of real llamas and cartoon llamas and kind of see what the style you're going for, the kind of look you're going for, and kind of what stands out. So I did some sketches on a piece of paper, and then I chose my favorite sketch and decided to resketch that into my iPad, into the ProCreate program. So I'm using an Apple Pencil, so it makes it a lot easier to actually write and sketch this out. So I use a pencil brush in ProCreate just to sketch out or recreate what I've already sketched on paper. And I use this to get proportions right, and I can move things around and nudge them and erase lines. It's just really nice working digital. It feels different because it's not analog medium. You're not holding it in your hand. You don't have that texture of the paper and stuff. It is a different process, but it's so handy to do it in digital format because it's easy to make quick changes to make something better without having to start over. So once I had my llama sketched out that I was happy with, I wanted to sketch out the scene. And so I hadn't given a lot of thought to the scene at this point. I knew I wanted to have the llama front and center. And so I decided to create a banner at the bottom for the sentiment. And then I was thinking about maybe doing a frame or a border with some flowers. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. So I thought about drawing all those flowers and having to color them in and draw them, sketch them all the way around. I was kind of on the fence about that, so I decided to work on the sentiment in the meantime. I knew I wanted to do candy love hearts in my sentiment, so I figured I would do the llama part of the sentiment in those candy love hearts, so it spells out the word llama. So my sentiment is going to be, I llama you, and at this point I was trying to do very much, and I was trying to get the very much to fit at the bottom of the sentiment, and with the banner it just wasn't working, so I took it out and scrapped it. I also scrapped the frame with the flowers. I just felt it would be too tedious to draw and a little too busy for this style of art that I was going for. Now I did want to do kind of a full background. I'm trying to sketch here some rose petals or some flowers, and then eventually I decided to try some hearts, which I liked, and then some little whimsical shapes around the card. So at this point I'm ready to go into my inking process. So what happens here is I just create a new layer in ProCreate and I use an inking brush, and there's different presets in the ProCreate app, so I don't have to do much work on that side. I just pick the brush I want, and in this case I'm getting a very uniform brush to draw or sketch out the outline of my drawing. So I make the drawing layer really light so it doesn't interfere visually when I'm sketching out the final. And so here now I'm just sketching out or drawing over everything that I've sketched for this point. And I like doing it in black because it's more reminiscent of stamps and it's easier to see things in the full balance, I find, if it's just black and white. Sketching out hearts at the end of this card, I'm pretty sure I could draw a heart perfectly, but I drew a lot of hearts to get there on this card, so I had a lot of practice with that. With the llama sentiment in the banner, I felt that the candy hearts were just lacking something, so I came back in and added some dimension to them, and I found that helped a lot, just to elevate them off the scene, and that's the focal point too. So I decided instead of doing I llama you very much as my sentiment, I was changing it, and I'm going to do I llama you mama. And so at this point my composition is a little bit off because I don't have room for mama. So I've moved up my llama and the sentiment banner to make room for the mama part. And I thought it would be cute if the mama was on a chain around the llama's neck, just a different dimension there in what it still has the sentiment reading as one. So that was what I decided for this composition. Now I sketched out the little chain necklace and the little mama locket pieces, or for the chain. And I decided to work on the background. I wasn't happy with the embellishment marks, so I took those out, and I liked the balance of just all the little hearts swirling around, so I decided to go with that. I really liked how that was looking. At this point, I was going to print out this card and color it myself, and I decided to do it in ProCreate instead, because then I could really play with colors, and then I would just print it as one solid card. Now I'm going to offer this line art in my Etsy shop if you'd like to get a copy of that. So I will have the black and white version that you can print out and color any way you want, or I will also have the full color version if you just want to print out a finished card. That will be available as well, and I'll put links in the description below as usual. So now I'm working on colors, just trying to figure out what colors I want to use in this card. And so I do want to keep it very Valentine's-y. I want to keep the pinks and the purples, but I do want that banner to contrast a little bit because it does need to stand out. It is the message. And I decided to try doing sort of a green. I really liked how this kind of popped off that purpley blue background. And I'm just looking at the balance of my candy hearts too. And the candy hearts gave me a little bit of trouble. Even though I had the three-dimensional look, they still just didn't seem like they were popping enough. I tried doing a half outline of the hearts using that darker gold color that I used for the llama. And it was helping, but it still just looked busy, but not the elevation of, like, the visual elevation that I wanted it to have. So I came in after here and added some drop shadows to the candy hearts, and that just seemed to be what it needed. It just popped after that. It was a lot better than it was. So thank goodness I actually took a break at that point and came back to it. So now the card's finished. I printed out two. So the one on the left was just regular cardstock, just Staples brand cardstock that I normally use. The one on the right is using a Epson photo matte paper. And so you can see a ginormous difference in the print quality alone. The Epson paper is crisp and clean, and all of the colors are very even and solid and very saturated, whereas the Staples cardstock is kind of washed out, and you can see the dots of the ink. So it wasn't as nice. I set that aside and decided to keep the Epson matte paper. Now this matte paper has actually got a weight to it, so it's not just a thin paper. It was more of like a cardstock. And so I just printed that to the exact size of the card, and I'm trimming out here. I have it all trimmed out, so now I just want to do the score line. I'm going to use my Martha Stewart paper folder, and it comes with the scorer to make that fold. So you just find the measurement at the top of the ruler and just run it twice. That's what I do. Run the score tool down the middle, and it creates a little groove in the paper, and then you can fold it, and it folds it without cracking the paper because you've made that score line. It works awesome. I love this tool. This is one of the first things I bought when I started card making, and it is invaluable. So now I have my card all cut out. Like, this is so easy and so much fun. I had so much fun coloring this on ProCreate. I've just really been enjoying my iPad lately and doing digital design. With this, I decided to add a little bit of embellishment so it's not too flat. I'm bringing in my Wink of Stella brush pen in clear glitter that I love so much, and I just wanted to dress up those candy hearts, add a little glitter. There was something going on with my pen. It was gobbing out a lot of glitter. You can see there on the green A, I just had a little bit of a overflow, which was a little tricky to deal with because it dries so fast. So I wasn't able to pick it all up quickly. And the way that I counterbalanced that was just putting more glitter in the offset areas that didn't have as much. And at the end, it all looked okay when it dried, which thankfully was good because I didn't want to have to print this again. Now, some other embellishments that you could do are with gel pens. So these are glitter gel pens, jelly roll pens to be specific. And I'm just going over the outside edges of my llama with gold because he's already in an outline of gold. So it just adds a little dimension. That's something else you could do. And I also like taking gel pens of the same color, and going over just ink areas that are the same color. So in this case, the hearts. And you can see that that adds a little bit of glitter too. So it just doesn't look like a flat card. It gives it a little more visual interest. Now, I decided just to go with the candy hearts here on this card, and I thought that was enough, and I just loved, like, the paper came out so nice. The saturation was so pretty on this, so I didn't want to disturb it too much. So that's a look at my final card. And again, I will have these in my Etsy shop if you want to grab a link or a copy if you want to get the line art to print and color yourself. You can use Copics or colored pencils, watercolor even on watercolor paper, or you can just get the finished card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you're notified as I post more videos. Thank you so much for watching.